Hello everyone. According to the Rio Treaty signed in 1947, Brazil is officially an ally of the United States. However, since the Ukraine war broke out, they have maintained a neutral position, even leaning towards Russia. Why is this so? Why don't they stand with us allies? Let's find out together. When it comes to a country's support for another, the easiest way to determine the cause is to analyze the interests they gain. So let's look at whether Brazil gains more by siding with the US or Russia. First, economically, the US is Brazil's second largest trading partner with a value of around $72.8 billion in 2021. The US is also Brazil's second largest investor with a total capital of $67.5 billion. Meanwhile, Russia is not even in Brazil's top 10 partners. Total trade between the two countries was only $7.3 billion, with fertilizer being Russia's main export to Brazil, and agricultural products being Brazil's main export to Russia. So compared to the US, Russia is a less important partner for Brazil. However, Brazil is just as shrewd as India in capitalizing on the situation for national benefit. Due to Western sanctions, Russia is willing to sell fuel to other partners at a fraction of the market price. The Brazilian president quickly seized the opportunity, sending envoys to Moscow to ask for as much as possible. As a result, they received billions of dollars of discounted diesel from Russia, reaping huge profits. As expected, they did not criticize President Putin like their Western allies. When leaders accomplish much good for the people, they gain support and can stay in power longer. Thus, the Brazilian government is willing to upset the US. However, it's not as simple as just getting discounted oil. Brazil is actually looking to move closer to Russia for several reasons. First, around 60% of the Amazon rainforest belongs to Brazil. It contains countless precious resources like diamonds, gold, copper, iron ore, oil, timber, and fertile soil, estimated to total tens of trillions of dollars in value. However, their ally the US and some European Union members oppose Brazil's deforestation and resource exploitation. They even threatened economic sanctions if the country continued destroying the environment. The Brazilian president sees this as infringing on their sovereignty. He believes the Amazon belongs to Brazil for them to decide. Given this context, Russia, one of the 5 permanent UN Security Council members, voiced support for Brazil. Second, there have been rifts with the US ally. On September 11, 2001, right after the US was attacked by terrorists at the New York Trade Center and Pentagon, Brazil cited the Rio Treaty, ready to provide military aid if Washington was invaded by enemies. This showed they always respected alliances with allies in emergencies. However, Brazil often disagrees with US foreign policy. They opposed US military campaigns in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya. They also opposed US sanctions on Iran, Cuba, and Venezuela, while establishing strategic partnerships with these countries. While unsatisfied, these were minor issues. One event that truly fractured relations occurred in 2013, when the O Globo newspaper provided evidence that the US was extensively spying on the Brazilian government, companies, and individuals. They used a spying program called Fairview to access the emails, calls, and messages of the Brazilian president. From that moment, the US lost trust from this South American ally. Third, Brazil wants a permanent seat on the UN Security Council to expand its global influence. Thus, they joined the BRICS group comprising Russia, China, India, and South Africa. These are developing economies with huge consumer markets, great potential for cooperation, and ambitions to establish a separate monetary system from the US dollar. Joining BRICS benefits Brazil not just economically, but earns enthusiastic backing from Russia and China. The closer they get with these two, the further away from the US. In early 2022, President Bolsonaro visited Russia, requesting help from Putin on a nuclear submarine project. Previously they had asked the US but were denied. Afterwards, Brazil received Russia's promise for broader military cooperation. For these reasons, South America's largest ally did not join the US in opposing Russia's attack on Ukraine, despite voting with the majority in UN meetings to condemn Moscow. But in reality, they rejected and didn't comply with Western sanctions on Russia. That's what really matters. The UN voting is just a game for show. As one of the 5 permanent Security Council members, Russia always vetoes, so resolutions don't pass. Moreover, Some countries vote to oppose Moscow but then don't actually pressure them. Not just Brazil, but Argentina and several other America's nations also chose to not sanction or criticize Russia. This shows the US has not done well in foreign policy, busy strengthening distant relationships but neglecting allies at home.